What's going on, everyone? I'm Jared Gallon. I'm the your humble host of this Hoops and Creators podcast powered by BBTV. This is episode 1, and this is all made possible thanks to the NBA Playmakers network. Our incredible and exclusive partnership with the NBA. That's helping creators grow. Elevating the league and the NBA and its storylines through transformative content. And ultimately amplifying basketball culture on and off the court. I'm humbled and super excited to talk to this guy. This guy, big time talent. You might have seen him dunking on people. His smile is infectious. Thunderous dunks, big time plays. But a lot of people love his easygoing and fun personality. He's must-see content. I'd like to welcome Tarai, Bionic Brooks. My man, thank you for joining.
JR, I appreciate you having me. I appreciate the people over at BBTV, NBA Playmakers. Great people over there, man. I'm so excited to hop on this podcast and chop it up.
Yeah, I mean, we've been itching to have this conversation for a while and just trying to highlight your story. But I do want to start somewhere because you and I, we were chopping it up beforehand and just coming off. You actually got to be at the NBA in-season tournament. You got to be there. Tell me about that. What was that like? Because being on that court in Vegas, that looked super cool. I was watching through the footage and had some monster dunks there too.
No, it was amazing. Cool. I loved it. The atmosphere was infectious. The whole environment was tailored to the in-season tournament, and you knew that the players came to really play. The in-season tournament is the real deal. It definitely changed the middle of the NBA season. A lot of times fans aren't really watching during this time, and it was great to see them give extra initiative. But being out there in the atmosphere is like no other. I thought NBA All-Star was one thing, but NBA in-season tournament is a whole different thing. It's like a whole world of its own. It was amazing. I loved being out there with all the creators, and they gave me an opportunity to actually go on the court and hoop on the same court as LeBron James and Anthony Davis, the in-season tournament cup winners. That was amazing. I threw down some dunks, got some chase down blocks, got a couple of assists, got to hoop with the best creators in the world, with the best network in the world. So it was a lot of fun.
Man, yeah, it was cool because I was watching it and I saw you out there with a bunch of other dudes and obviously the hoopers and the ladies out there. It was just fun back and forth action. What's that like though, being on the floor? Because I was kind of likening this to, I was thinking about it. I was like, you look at the NBA teams and you look across the league and what it's like to put star talent all in one squad. You look at Phoenix with 3 All-Stars. You look at a team like Milwaukee when you finally paired Dame with Giannis.
Yeah.
Now when you're talking about influencers and creators all on the same court at the same time, and you take all these people with different communities and fan bases that vouch for them, that follow them, that care about them so much. What's that like, that star power, with other creators on the floor at the same time, and then you guys just playing hoop, doing what you do best?
It's amazing. It's great because I built a lot of relationships with a lot of these influencers on the way up. So I've known T-Jazz for a while. I played with T-Jazz before. We've created content together. So playing with Tristan, playing with Jesse, and playing with YPK Ray, those are all people I've had prior relationships with or created content with in the past. I've played against Baradis before, so I'm familiar with a lot of the creators' games. I watched their content, so it was great being out there. But merging the game, on the floor with all this star power, and everybody has their different play style and way that they like to play on the court is very interesting. And that's some of the same challenges NBA players and teams face. When you throw all these stars on one team, they got to figure out how to make it work. So for me, I take pride in, my ability to be able to play with anybody and everybody in the basketball space, being able to play the role that needs to be done for my team to be successful. That's the ultimate goal for me in basketball is winning. I don't care what level we're on. And we're at the in-season tournament. We're on the in-season tournament, championship court right now. We got to be playing to compete and win right now. And so that was the only thing that mattered to me. So whatever my teammates needed, I was the leader on the floor. I was calling, offensive sets, who should go out and set the screen, what should we do on defense, And ultimately, the game got really competitive. It got a lot more competitive than I thought it was. Went down to the wire, and we went into OT for it too.
I mean, that's super fun. Like when you got a competitive run like that too, right? And like, you know, you could say whatever you want about pickup basketball or whether it's at the highest level or whether you're doing, you know, the rec league, and we'll definitely talk about you being at the Drew League and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
man, when it comes down to the final possessions, it's like a different kind of thing, right?
Yeah, that's basketball. That's culture, basketball culture. Everyone wants to make the game-winning shot. Everyone wants to
Exactly.
yell Kobe or MJ as they're fading away. You know what I mean? Or hitting the buzzer beater, Curry. You know, 3, 2, 1. Like those are when the best players, you know, show up and shine. And you know, we saw, you know, even John his comeback. Like he
Yeah.
came back onto the floor, you know, saying very first game back, they gave him the ball and like, hey man, we want you to make a play. And those are all the moments that, you know, as a basketball fan and player, we live for.
I want to take this conversation back a little bit before we go further to all the basketball stuff, because you and I could chop it up back and forth all day.
Okay.
But I definitely do like want to go back to the very beginning of your story, both as a basketball player and as a creator. I'm sure it's a really interesting one. And for me, someone new who's having this conversation with you I'm sure it'll enlighten me and obviously the viewers and your fans who are asking these questions. Like, you know, how did it start? What was that starting point for you? Like where were you at? Like as a, you know, before you started content creation, and then what was that just like that first step into the door for you?
Goodness, that's a good question. My basketball journey has had so many different ups and downs. It's been a roller coaster, but like my friends and a lot of people around me have always said this about me. Like I've always been a work in progress. I've always, you know, been a person that's been focused on the daily progress or growth, day in and day out. So whether it was my first time touching a basketball, I was a sponge. I wanted to learn more. I wanted to know how this thing works. I'm in the backyard playing in milk crate on the pole. Like, you know what I mean? But I'm still
That's
trying to
crazy.
understand the concepts of basketball. And for me, it started there in the backyard, milk crate on a pole. But also, like, where I learned about the sport was I just would watch my grandmother watching the game. She used to love watching the Bad Boys, the Pistons, Detroit Pistons. She loved watching them go against MJ, Reggie Miller back in the day, you know, things like that. And then when I was old enough to actually know about basketball and schemes and sets and what players were doing, that's when I'm seeing Kobe Bryant go against the Detroit Pistons. So I'm able to sit there and watch from a different vantage point and love the game for a different reason. My grandmother hated the great players like Kobe and MJ and the people that I just named
Wow.
because they would score and kill her favorite team. You know what I mean? That's why she hated
Yeah.
them. Started to understand that as basketball fans, you start to build up this disdain to the great players, and they become villains to people who are fans of teams. And that's why I love the game, because those are the greatest players. Like I became a fan of the greats because of I saw how the greats would demoralize defenses and completely demoralize fan bases and, you know, do things like this to Spike Lee
Reggie.
or, you know, celebrities. And, you know, like that woke me up to see, you know, they would shut down whole arenas. Like the arena's yelling at you, barking at you. Like there's so much noise and it feels like a Beats commercial. You hit the shot, it's like putting on headphones and you no longer hear anybody else because you just silenced the whole crowd. So I love like seeing players perform at that level. And that's when I fell in love with the game. The best moments, the great show up and they shine. We talked a little bit about that, but like that was when I first learned about basketball. And from there, I fell in love with the game, started playing it for myself, organized. My first time playing organized basketball was the age of 8. And it was interesting. Like I learned playing basketball where I had to stand at a dot. I couldn't leave my spot, you know, on defense. I
Yeah.
couldn't leave my spot on offense, you know, and that's just learning the game. But from there, you know, I kept working on it, kept developing my skill, kept watching the game, became a student of the game. I love watching basketball, and that's where like my love continued to grow. And I learned different moves, or I tried to emulate different players and different play styles, hairstyles. You know what I mean? Like different outfits. You know, I wanted to emulate all that. The culture was so infectious to me at early age. And then, you know, when I got to high school, started playing more organized basketball. But before I got to high school, I actually was cut from my 8th grade basketball team.
Oh.
Yeah, so like although I was working so hard, like it wasn't necessarily always translating to success on the basketball court, and it wasn't always directed the right way. I'm learning, self-taught in the streets, playing against other people. I'm watching and one. I'm watching, I'm emulating AI's crossover, which then at a certain point they began to say he was carrying the basketball. So there was a lot of things that like I was emulating that could have been incorrect, but as I learned more about the game and I felt that heartbreak for the first time getting cut in 8th grade, I never wanted to feel that again. So from that point forward, I devoted my life to the game and wanted to give, so much love to the game so I could see that love come back full circle on the court. And I knew that without putting in that work, I wasn't going to see success. So I would play games all left-handed. I would play games with my best friend in the park, and I would play games with my best friends at the park. No
You're
fouls.
doing this, right? You were doing this.
Looking at the left hand, like, we would play no fouls. Things got physical sometimes, and it was just challenging. We would definitely do different things, and this was before creating content. This is different ways that we would challenge ourselves, and that's where I feel like the content creation started. I was trying to record myself getting my first dunk. On a cell phone, a flip camera phone, or a Boost mobile phone, or whatever. Like I'm trying to just see what I look like when I'm attempting to dunk a basketball. And that's where I fell in love with like creating videos and putting content out there on the internet. My first videos were actually on MySpace of me dunking a basketball and getting hype afterwards. But I really loved the game so much and never wanted to be away from the game anymore. Like I didn't play travel basketball, so playing like organized high school sports was the only time I was going to get that fix of like actually being on a team and actually working on my game day in and day out. Like I didn't have a trainer at home. I didn't have my mom. I grew up in a single mom mother household, 4 kids. Our money was tight sometimes, so I didn't have those liberties. And internet was new. This is AOL, this is broadband, this is to get on the internet. You gotta tie up your whole house, phone line for about it. Yeah. So it's like the access that I had to those things wasn't necessarily there to work my game, to where content creators and basketball players and the new generation, they're so blessed. They can work on their game so many different ways. And like that's why we're seeing basketball elevating to a whole new level now, because like that's available to a lot more people, and I love to see it. I really love to see it. But back to my high school journey, I finally make my freshman team. I'm the last person to make my freshman team. Anyone in my high school, my old coach, teachers, best friends will tell you I was the 15th person to make the 15-person freshman basketball team in high school. And I think that one of the things that it's wild. And one of those things that allowed me to be in that position was my skill, was my athleticism, but it was also my character. I was getting good grades. I was a person that was, helpful around the community. I was, a person that people saw as a good person, and they wanted to give me the opportunity to show that I had more. And I think it was the wife of my varsity head coach. She was my elementary school principal. So she's seen me grow up, and she knew me, and like she knew who I was for my community, and how big I was on community. So I know she definitely put a good word in so I could get that 15th spot. And from there, I took it on my own, and I worked every day to prove that I deserve to be there. I'm on the scout team. I'm running the star player of the other team as we're in practice, and I'm tearing my teammates up. And that's where I'm getting more looks from, JV coaches, the varsity coaches, and even my own coach, and I'm getting more opportunities. I was very raw at that time, though. So it was like I was still learning the game. I was still trying to figure out, all the rules still, like, and how to maximize that. And that's why I had to study the game more and learn, like, how that applied on the floor through actual practice of being on a team, because I hadn't been on a lot of teams in my life at that point, So, that's where I became a basketball mom. I wanted to learn the game in and out, front to back, defenses, offenses, how I can contribute. And so I really became a student of the game. sophomore year, I earned more playing time, definitely became a better player. I'm playing JV. And then, my junior year of high school, I became the sixth man for my high school team, first person off the bench. A lot of energy, a lot of offense, a lot of defense. And we made it a pretty far deep run my junior year. We actually made it to regionals. Didn't get a state championship, but we definitely got some plaques on the wall in my high school from what we were able to accomplish in high school. And my senior year, I was a senior mainstay. At that point, I'm a star player. I'm getting a lot of looks. I'm putting up good numbers, averaging dang near a double with a few blocks per game as well. I'm just I must see TV when you're coming to watch basketball games. I'm gonna get a chase down block or a couple of dunks during the game. I'm gonna make it look good too, and we're gonna look good on the court. And that's a whole nother story. I fought a lot of different challenges expressing myself on the court, whether it's like wearing an arm sleeve or different color shoes or socks or just how I showed up for game days, the tunnel fits and stuff like that. I'm doing that in high school. I'm showing up to game day rocking something nice, you know what I mean? But like that wasn't necessarily the culture of the high school I went from or I went to. Like, so I was a little misunderstood. I wanted to grow my hair out. I wanted to get designs in my hair.
I'm with you because I sorry to cut you off. My coaches back in high school, they were like, why are you so focused on looking like a player rather than playing like one? And I'm like, man, expressing yourself on the court, it's part of it. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, so I'm, early on, I'm one of those people that's pushing the culture forward. I'm one of those people, I am going through an uphill battle. I am facing adversity with the way people are viewing me in that light. But it never affected my grades. It never affected my work ethic. Like, I was always a person that had good grades. I was in the weight room. I did what I was supposed to do and never got in trouble. And that was one of the things that my mom raised me to be. She raised me to be respectful. She raised me to, be a contributing member to society and being able to add value to people's lives. And so I didn't see anything that I was doing was wrong, but other people did. That's what made the sport challenging at that point in my life. And so from there, I had a college scholarship offer to play basketball at a couple of NAIA schools, JUCO schools, stuff like that. No big D1 offers. But it's because I'm facing that all season long. My minutes are up and down because like they didn't like how I pulled up to school today wearing a baggy t-shirt and maybe some glasses with the lens popped out or whatever. Like, right. And I got earrings in my ears. They just didn't like that. So that contributed to like some of the things that I had to face. And my senior year, I actually had the school that I committed to, signed a letter of intent to go to and play basketball to. They hit me up and they said, we no longer have scholarship money in the budget for you. And as a person, as a basketball player, as an athlete, that broke my heart. I felt like my love was being taken away from me. And that's when I decided to pick up on track and field my senior year. And track and field kind of took off for me. I got my school record my first year. Competing in track and field. That's when I learned a lot about just fitness and performance and training and optimizing my training metrics to be able to add value to, my macro cycle or, some of the things that performance metrics I wanted to hit at certain times of the year. So whether it be a big meet or a big game, I want to be fresh. I want to be recovered. I want to make sure that I'm not lifting super heavy and, my percentages are a little bit lower. I'm not hitting my max effort weight and stuff like that. So that's where I learned fitness and health and, performance and stuff like that. That also kind of played into my content and the content that I create and I make now. But when I saw the success in track and field, being able to get school records, I got D1 offers from here or from Michigan because I was born in Michigan. I'm from Michigan. From Michigan to California to, the East Coast to Clemson, Oklahoma, big name D1 schools giving me offers. And my sister was a big track and field athlete, won a bunch of national titles, NCAA national titles, went to, the Olympics in 2012. That, I saw that more as her sport. So I never really picked it up. But when I got the offers to go D1, I wanted to take the opportunity. So I ended up going to Michigan State. And, from there, I dealt with some injuries. I tore my patellar tendon, competing and training. And, that's when I really had to take a real look at my life. You go through, as athletes, as creators, as people, when you go through transitions or seasons of your life where your identity is really defined by what you're doing, it's hard to let go of that and move forward. So it's easy to move into a season of depression and things get harder for you. But with basketball, that I never felt that, like with the sport itself. So in that moment, I knew that I needed to bring some life back into my life and get back to playing basketball in college, because that was one thing I loved. And if I'm going to put my body through some pain, if I'm going to get injured or whatever, I wanted to be on the basketball court. So I made that change. I transferred to a Division II school by the name of Davenport University back home in Michigan. And I had to walk on to the university basketball team after I recovered from my injury. So I had to take a redshirt year, take time to recover from my injury after having surgery on my patellar tendon in 2011. And then I had to walk on to the basketball team. And I knew that, like, hey, I wanted basketball to be a part of my life for the rest of my life, whether I'm actually playing in the NBA, I'm playing overseas, I'm playing in another league, or anything. I know professional dunking was a thing. I knew, I seen people at this point creating content, playing basketball, just basically like dunking. There wasn't really like a huge thing as far as like people pulling up to gyms or takeovers or anything at that point. But I still remembered the street ball culture and the and one days and things like that, slam ball, a lot of different basketball leagues where I saw there were so many different ways you can be involved with basketball, even sports analysts, talking on basketball, on TV and stuff like that. Like, that was my goal. I was like, I saw more opportunity in the sport of basketball than I saw in anything else in my life. And I was like, okay, I need to double down on this. I need to work on my skill. I need to get better. I need to understand the game better. And the only way I'm going to do that is if I'm actively practicing. So I need to be a college basketball player. And so that was one of my goals. I wanted to go to the university, be a college basketball player, be a college track and field athlete, to be an ambassador on campus, to be a summer RA, to work in sports marketing for the university. I set all these goals for myself coming into the university and transferring, and I made sure I accomplished them throughout my duration of my time at the university. And my track and field team actually didn't like me playing basketball at first. They didn't like the idea. They didn't want to let me, but I was so determined. I didn't care what I had to sacrifice, even if it was my scholarship, to walk onto the basketball team. And the first year that I played basketball and track and field, I actually won my first ever track and field national title in the high jump. While I'm still playing basketball, I'm on the court, I'm putting up numbers. And I'm, like I said, I'm doing all these other things. I'm in school, I'm
multi-sport athlete.
Yeah, multi-sport athlete. And I'm, actually working at the university for sports marketing for other sports teams. And that's why I'm learning how marketing works, and, Instagram pages and running different pages for different sports teams, different organizations, different things to help add value to the degree I was getting. And I know a lot of people, might not want to go to college and don't think that college is for them. But if you have a plan, or if you have a goal, or if you have something that can work synonymous to what you want to do and what's your passion, I would recommend that. Like, I would recommend working on those skills and giving yourself that time to be able to hone in on that, to be a better professional in that space. And that's what I did personally. And, from there, once I graduated, I'm like, hey, I've been working and doing this marketing stuff for so many different companies and organizations. I need to do it for myself and build a brand. And, while I'm in school, I developed an Instagram handle after I'm recovering from my knee injury. I'm wearing this big metal knee brace, and I'm hooping in the rec center gym before I'm even fully recovered to even get back on the court or on the track, which please don't do that. Like, don't do that. Like, I feel like I was good, but who knows? I actually did a really good job with my rehab process. My rehab team was really good, the training staff. So my recovery process was cut almost like 2/3. I would say I had to recover 2/3 of the way. And if instead of being like a 6-month recovery process, probably 4 months it took. And I'm on a basketball court with my knee brace on and actually make a guy fall playing basketball with like a knee brace not fully cleared. And all my buddies, all my friends that I'm hooping with are like, wait, what did they put in your knee? Like, what's on this brace? Like, what's going on here? Is there something bionic? Because you seem better than
Come on,
before,
there you
man.
go.
And from there, I decided the alliteration, Bionic Brooks, BB, I feel like that was just catchy. It's something that people could get behind. And I'm like, okay, let's coin this. And when I moved out to Los Angeles, California, getting involved in all the leagues out there, the VBL is one of the leagues that I was out playing in, and they have an announcer, the voice of Venice Beach, aka Mouthpiece, and he's just like yelling out names, calling out play-by-play, and then I'm making a couple of plays, I'm blocking shots, I'm dunking on people, and he's like, the Bionic Man, the man with the $1 million mile or $6 million smile, and like just yelling, there goes Bionic. And from there, like, that was where really it became a household name, and everybody knew me as Bionic at that point, moving forward on the basketball court.
Man, it's so much to unpack there. Like that's such an interesting story and journey. I mean, if you like even going back to your high school days, like that, it almost mirrors a lot of what MJ went through, right? Like when he was cut from his basketball team and then now he became, greatest of all time. Subjective conversation based on
Yeah,
that everyone.
that's a conversation for another time.
Yeah, that's
But
there you
I
go.
agree with you.
Yeah, and that's it's interesting because right off the bat, as a viewer, a lot of the times, we look at creators and, we say, oh, these guys are just playing street ball. They're just out there playing hoop. But you don't realize the journey that you've gone through, as a creator and as a basketball player and as a human to have to go through all this adversity, you know, get better as a basketball player, improve like the IQ, constantly getting better every single year. And then, when you make the transition to track and field, there's all this knowledge, like this influx of knowledge of like, this is how you have to get mentally and physically prepared, your body to be in the right shape for you to perform, at a certain level. And then applying all those things, the mental side of the game, the physical side of it, and then you being at this point now, a lot of people just look at a video and say, that guy's just hooping and he's got insane athleticism, but don't realize that, no, this guy is a real 5-star athlete. Like, this guy can play with the best of them, high basketball IQ. And, just because they might not be in a pro league necessarily does not mean that they are a high level basketball player. And so, hearing about your story and applying those different things, I think people realize now that the journey is the most important part of like getting to where you are now in terms of not even just being a creator, but as a human, because, your journey is so interesting because you went like this. Basketball was the first love, and then it's like the transition out, and then you went back into it because you wanted to bring that light in your life. Like, what was, have you looked at your perspective as a creator and as a basketball player and, how different it might be to, the next person? Because we have seen in the past, like, there are a lot of people out there who go viral because, they're naturally really good basketball players. But, you've had to go through so many challenges and, go through so many different points of your life where it's like, I got to take this with me. I got to take this with me. I got to take this with me. And how different your story is compared to a lot of people. Not to try and compare, but obviously.
But no, I do think that that's where my separation came. And, like my separation from different people in this space, because I had to persevere through different challenges and adversity. Like everybody has their own challenges and stuff like that. But like my perseverance is what separates me from other people. Going through these challenges kind of shape me and my personality and my morals, my values as a person, my work ethic, all these different things, really changed my mindset, when it came into different things in the basketball space or creator space. When things change or shift or I have to adjust, I feel like I'm more willing to go with the flow of those things, and I can adjust a little quicker than the next person because I'm already anticipating it. I'm already anticipating there's going to be some challenges or some roadblocks on the way. So I know my goal, I know my purpose, and I know that that needs to stay in the forefront of my mind with everything that I do. And I can't pivot from that. Where most people, it's like, Well, I don't know. Faith, they don't have the faith anymore. Like they can't see the end. So it's like it's hard for them to really put faith into something to where it for me, it's like faith and hard work are gonna meet somewhere. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? They're gonna always, and I'm gonna be 1% better every single day towards the direction that I want to be in life. And um that was huge for me. And as a creator, that's something that you have to have. You have to be able to have the perseverance to keep dropping videos no matter if they're good or the viewership is there or like they do a million. Like you got to keep going. Not everything that you're going to put out is going to be viral. Not every opportunity is going to be for you. You might not see all the brand deals right now, but like if you stay true to your purpose and your goal, like you're going to see the success at the end of the tunnel. And that's what more people need to kind of see and picture when it comes to being a creator. Like you have to just keep going. That's my biggest advice. And that's all these different challenges in my life taught me that like no matter what, if you follow your passions and you nurture your passions, you do things the right way, and you stay dedicated to your goals, you're ultimately going to get there. And for me, like yeah, I had a tough upbringing when it came to the sport of basketball and learning how to play and learning how to be a force on the court. But like it led to tremendous opportunities after college. I played professionally over in China, Japan, Mexico, South America, done tours all over the world. I was a professional dunker for years, and I was able to compete against the world's greatest dunkers from Jordan Sutherland and Chris Staples to Jordan Kilgannon and Jonathan Clark, the jumper, and Michael Purdy.
Right.
So the list goes on, but I was also able to team up with street ball legends like the Professor and Bone Collector. I was also able to win championships professionally with guys like Ryan Carter before he became the Hezi God. I know a lot of people know him as Hezi God, but I went over to China back in like 2018 and won a championship in a King of Kings league. And this is in front of Tracy McGrady, Allen Iverson, and what felt like the whole country of China at that point. But, like I've done a lot all over the world. And then I've even toured with the world famous Harlem Globetrotters. I've been a part of their team. And for me, from a heritage standpoint, Harlem Globetrotters were one of the first leagues to give people of my color an opportunity to play basketball professionally. So, to play for an organization prestigiously like that and culturally, it meant a lot to me. And basketball has taken me all over the world and given me so many different opportunities. I've played basketball, I think, on every NBA court, which is also like a pretty fun fact too. Like I've been in every NBA court and played on and hooped on, I think every NBA arena in America.
And you've gotten to travel the world. You've gotten to see everything, almost more than like what some NBA players actually ever see in their lifetime. In some cases, because I mean, you go around the world. You're part of these different groups. You're the Harlem Globetrotters is obviously huge. I mean, everyone loved them growing up, and they're still a mainstay in basketball culture. You're out there dunking with the best of them. Shout out Chris Staples. And then you're playing pro basketball, and then now you're in the communities, traveling around different states and playing with the best of them. What is that like? Because, like yourself, you see, we hear about your journey and your story, going through challenges and adversity and, making goals and accomplishing them and pushing through with everything. When you go into these different communities and you play with local talent, like what's that like too? Because you can see that there's a lot of players, a lot of athletes who don't get the same shine or same opportunity. But once you step on the blacktop with them, you're like, oh man, this dude can hoop.
Yeah, and that's what the amazing thing about basketball is. Like it brings communities together. Basketball is a community in itself, and seeing different skill sets in different areas and how different people play in different geographical areas is also interesting. I love that you always can take something and learn something from a different area or somebody else's game. And there's so much basketball talent out there, and that's what's one of the great things about what we're able to do. What me and my guys like White Iverson, Kenny Dobbs, Ty Glover, Frank Nitti, Cesar Guerrero, shout out to the Balls Like East Coast Squad too, a lot of the people in the community, shout out to all the basketball creators, D Friga, it's a lot of basketball creators that have gone into different spaces and played in different areas and parks and takeovers and stuff like that to show and shine more light on the different basketball talent that's out here. And I think that's one important thing to keep the culture moving forward that we need to continue to do more of, continue to shine those lights and that spotlight on the talent of the hero, that might not be able to have the same platform as you, or might not be able to reach the masses, or, might have had a downtime in their life and they need somebody to pick them up because, they feel like everybody turned their back on them when it comes to the sport of basketball. They should be further along in the sport than they are. So like, that's one big thing for me as a content creator now. It was great, to be able to set the landscape for original content during COVID and, do the takeovers, and started with White Iverson and, Kenny Dobbs and Ty Glover, and then, get Ball's Life on board with what we're doing and, really take the whole lane over and the movement over with, Frank Nitti and, Monstar and Body Bag and all my teammates over there at Ball's Life, West Coast Squad. It was amazing, to really be able to, it was my first time really, being behind things and helping, creative produce and, create content for Ballers Life channel. Because at that point, Ballers Life didn't have their own original content. They had like, they would do things like they would go to high school games and film. They would cover NBA players. They would do different things, but we created their first own original content. And, that's a mainstay for their channel now. That's a mainstay for what we know YouTube basketball to be now. Like, it's amazing to see that. Like, that's what the culture is like now. And yeah, hearing all these guys' story, like I talked about my teammates, all my teammates have, extremely unique backgrounds and are extremely talented in their outright, in their own way. And, I'm playing with guys like Frank Nitti, and Frank Nitti, if you know who Frank Nitti is, like you got to know who Frank Nitti is if you're a fan of the basketball culture and stuff like that. Like, bro's a legend.
Tough.
And like to be in the same space playing with him and like knowing that people like keep our names synonymous with each other, and like knowing that like he's passing me, the rock, and I'm on the team with him. Like, come on now, man. Like, that's a dream. Like, I'm extremely grateful and blessed to be in the position I am to play with such amazing talent and some people who've come such a long way. Like, he's a 4-time Drew League MVP. I won a Drew League championship with this guy this year. I played with Xavier Moon, one of probably the biggest bucket getters in the G League right now, and he's getting an opportunity with the LA Clippers. Like, I'm so lucky, and basketball has opened up so many different doors for me. And like, I am really excited for what we can do for others. And we're going to spread light on basketball talent that y'all might not always see. And I'm going to put some guys on and put some guys, in the forefront of some content to be able to make some waves. And we're going to see a whole new wave of influencers and creators come from this too.
What's that like too? I mean, that's it's being on those platforms, right? And working your way into that. Like, we talked about this a little bit offline, where, me growing up in high school, I watched Hoop Mixtape. I watched Bay Area's Finest. I watched Ball's Life because, we're watching these guys, hoop in, various rec centers and gyms across the league during the lockout season. And that for me was when that thing took off, as a viewer, as a younger basketball fan.
Mm-hmm.
And then now, Bionic Brooks is the guy who pioneers that, the original content. And you're on the same platform that everybody was watching D-Wade, LeBron Goet, KD, and all these guys and these different areas. And now you're a big part of that. You've pioneered that. Like, what is that feeling like as a guy growing up, hoping to be on the same stage as some of these players, and then, now you are pretty much a mainstay in terms of, basketball culture on that end.
And that's amazing, like how life is full circle. I had to work my way up, become a mainstay in my high school days, and I worked my way up in, this digital space and social media space to become a mainstay. It's humbling. It's truly humbling to be on this platform and be able to be given the opportunities and be in these rooms with a lot of these same guys, because I've met a lot of NBA players, worked with a lot of NBA players, been in a lot of the same environments as them, and so it's a humbling experience to know that like just because I didn't quit, I'm given these opportunities, because my hard work is finally paying off, and I just kept on believing in myself. And luckily for me, the basketball community and the people around me really believe in me too. To be able to have a partnership with NBA Playmakers, to be able to be working hand in hand with the NBA and, Jordan Brand, Puma, Google Pixel, Dig Sporting Goods, just to name some of the few that like I've worked with more recently, like that's truly an honor for me. And that helps me, that gives me validation that I'm going in the right direction, because there's been times to where I didn't know if this was the right direction. I didn't know what content creation was. I just wanted to document my journey and my growth as a person, and be able to help share my testimony to help the next person. You know what I mean? Like that's how it all started for me. And, building that the right way, I feel like that's why I have a strong community. Because, community building is key. If you have a strong community, if your content is about your community, if it's about how you're adding value to the next person, those are the creators that's going to be around, for the long haul. And I hope that, us as creators, we get it. But that's why, with the content I'm doing, the concepts I'm doing, I'm helping people understand how to navigate the space, how to build a brand, how to be a contributing member in society from the digital side of things too, and not just falling into cancel culture or, zombie scrolling or, empty, valueless content, and creating things just for attention and hot takes. And, you got to build something substantial of substance. And that's what I'm helping people understand. And that's why I feel like we have such great relationships with all these brands and these creators and stuff like that, because I've helped a lot of creators on their path and their journey, with collaborations and, creative direction and producing content. And like I've been on the back end and behind the camera on a lot of things that have come out that y'all might not even know, or viewers don't even know about. But that's what's helped me be able to be a force in this lane. And I feel like I'm here to stay. And I'm hungry every day to prove that I'm here to stay, because I know I got some non-believers out there as well. Or even if I don't, I'm gonna make up a story that I got somebody hating on me somewhere, because that just helps me with the chip on my shoulder and staying hungry.
It's that motivation, right? That drive to constantly create, and that passion. It's interesting that you talk about the brands and the who you've worked with and the content that you've helped produce and creative direction. I think one of the things, and you touched on this too, is like one of the things that separates you as a creator, and why people, love you so much and follow your journey and are a part of, and are always looking out for the next big highlight, for the next big, the next big shoe review, the next big, vlog, whatever it is like your personality. Like, even getting to meet you that first time we did, I was like, this dude is one of the nicest people that I've ever met, and one of the most genuine people for sure. What was, for you as a content creator, it's always hard trying to find that balance. So how do you balance like creating authentic content and integrating those brand partnerships or advertising in your videos, knowing, what your passion is, like what you love and what you ultimately want to do? Because everybody wants to create the next viral thing. Everybody wants to make money. There's always an end goal. There's always an objective with everything. And we can't take away from that, but we certainly know that there's a level of it too, where it's like, you never want to sell on what you're truly passionate about. So how do you figure out or find that balance, or has it become super easy to you at this point?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. It was tough early on trying to find that balance of like, how do I stay true to myself, but also become an influencer or a creator in this lane and space. And yeah, it comes with trial and error. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna say everything's been perfect. I've been in bad contracts or agreements before to where it like didn't necessarily fully align with my brand. But those were teachable moments for me, and those were moments to where I was able to understand the ins and outs of certain industries to help guide me in the direction that I really wanted to go. So, I turned everything into a lesson. Everything is a learning experience. And, when it comes to being genuine and being myself and staying true to myself, I go into every situation just trying to build genuine relationships and connections with the people first. And, I create content around what I love and what I'm passionate about and things that I actually use every day or what I'm actually doing. Like I'm
Right.
not trying to think of, some crazy skits to, get, some people feeling some type of way or some hot takes to get someone to feel some type of way. Like I like to work out, so I want to show y'all my workouts, and I want to show y'all like how I got my hops the way I got them. I want to show you
Right.
how I worked on my basketball game. I want to show y'all how I go about picking my shoes and what you should look for when it comes to good performance basketball shoes. Like I want to help add value to people at the very basic level, but also at the advanced level. So I want to make sure that like I'm creating content that falls all in between that and where I'm creating that genuine connection with my audience and they look at me as like a big bro or an uncle or somebody in their family that's really just delivering them like something that I'm using, or something that I'm doing. And if it doesn't really align with my brand, I don't really accept partnerships. I don't really, and that's something that's hard for creators too. Sometimes creators just accept whatever is thrown at them. And
Yeah.
when it comes to building a brand, you got to be strategic about who you align yourself with and things that you're doing. Sorry about that. Things that you're doing, and that's one thing that I've been able to learn how to navigate. And I just want to help others learn how to navigate the space because I never had anybody doing that for me. So again, I had to take some L's on the way, and I just want to help the next person not have to take those L's.
100%. I mean, it's so cool hearing like your process of thinking and like how you figure it out along the way, what your brand identity is like, and like how you incorporate different brands, and being able to meet the two objectives together of creating something that you care about or something you're passionate about, and how can I incorporate something that actually means something to me or that aligns to my values and like what ultimately the viewers want to see, because that's always like no matter who you work with, how long you've been with it, or how long you've been in this space, at least conversations I've had with creators, it's always like they never find that perfect formula. It's always like a learning process.
Yeah, things are always evolving. Things are always growing. The space is always changing. So it's like it's going to be a lot of trial and error, and you can't go into it thinking that you have all the answers because there's going to be a curveball along the way. But if you go into it with the plan and you set up your plan the right way, you're going to be a lot more successful than a person who didn't write it down or put things on paper or kind of spell it out from point A to point Z.
100%. I mean, for you, because you've been at this so long, I'm sure you don't want to share all of your secrets, but what's your creative process like when it comes to creating content, when it comes to producing content, when it comes to coming up with concepts, when you're working with brands, when you're thinking about how you can make your personality shine on screen? What is step one, and then what's the final step, and how do you eventually get there?
So I mean, it looks different. So like, if you're just starting out, I would say start with what you're passionate about, because like that's where I started. Like that was the process of like, what do I love? What do I like? You know what I mean? Like, what do I find interesting and I want to share with the world? And like when you're starting off, like let that lead you the whole way. You know what I mean? Keep creating content, come up with different ideas, concepts. Write a list out of different video ideas that you think might work, and then from that video idea, break that down into about 5 to 10 subgroups of how that video can be separated, and that's going to help you prevent burnout and the longevity of like dropping different content and keeping it fresh for your audience, because you're gonna be able to break it down to the specifics, and then you're gonna be able to still add value to your audience, but it's still on brand and on topic to your main topic. So it's like for me, if it's dunking, okay, well, how I do a one hand dunk, how I do a two hand dunk, how I do a windmill, like how do I run up and approach a dunk, how do I hold a basketball when I'm dunking, how do what I mean? It's a lot of different
Mm-hmm.
things that you can break it down, and like that's my advice, when it comes to building content and like building out your steps, is starting out with your passions and your interests, break that down into, different, video categories, instructional vlogs, informational, like that same as instructional, but like Do you want to share more like your outfit or your day to day in your vlogs, or get ready with me? Or do you want to show like as an athlete, or a college athlete or a high school athlete, your routine? I wake up at this time, I eat this and do this. Like, and then when it comes to the branded side of things and getting brand deals, those are going to all fall into place. You're gonna have, that company that you like to eat every morning, or
Yeah.
you like to eat oatmeal every morning. Okay, now you have an oatmeal company talking to you about it, but showing them that this is who you are and that you like, certain brands or you like certain products, and highlighting that stuff along your journey in a genuine and authentic way. And that's going to attract, the brands that you want. And, like, you'll be able to have proof of concepts down the line when you want to, and, you'll be able to show them like, hey, this video did this amount of numbers, or this video did this amount of views, or got this many comments, or these are the analytics to this video. This is what I can do for your brand. I really like your brand. I really want to work with you. And you can start the outreach process. You can, in this day and age of technology, you can reach out to anyone from any brand or any company
Right.
at any moment. So if you're doing your diligence and you're creating good content, you're doing what you love, the opportunity will always be there and it'll find you.
100%. I mean, it's so interesting that you talk about your audience first. Like everything always speaks to your audience, and I think that's also one of the qualities that separates you from, the average creator or the average person, is because you care so much about what people want to see, and your community and your fan base, and how they're so entrenched with what you do. Can you tell me, or like how do you approach building that genuine connection with your audience? And like, this is a fun question, and for some creators don't necessarily like this question, but it's like how, the role of comments and the role of feedback from your community, how much does that play to your content strategy, and how important is that to you? And which I'm sure it is very important, but yeah, because some creators, they look down at their comments, and the negativity sometimes takes away from what they ultimately want to do. So how
Yeah.
how does that shape you and your content strategy?
Yeah, so my content strategy, audience is key, like, but at the same time, when it comes to developing your ideas and stuff like that, you got to think about what type of audience you want. You know what I mean? Like, you understand that, like, certain people like beauty products, certain people like basketball, certain people like this or that. So it's like you got to be very intentional to what you're targeting yourself, and then be able to provide value to that specific audience that you're trying to outreach to. And my thing with community building, comments are huge. Creating content that's going to engage your audience and going to want them to comment, ask more questions, ask you to elaborate more on a specific thing that you may have done in a video. Like, those things are huge to like keep the content moving forward, to keep the ball moving forward, to be able to understand where you're going from a brand perspective, and understand that, like, yeah, I'm reaching my target audience, I'm providing them value, we're getting those questions. So you're onto something. And outside of that, in the comments and talking about things, make sure you're showing face.
Mhm.
Show face to your audience. Like, hop on, your IG story or Snapchat story or wherever it is your platform is, and show your face when talking to them. And try to go live every now and again to engage your audience in different ways, and be able to keep conversations going in a live perspective and dialogue. And outside of that, we have broadcast channels and Discord channels that you can keep conversations going. You really have to focus on a way to keep the conversation going with the audience, and that's what your content should look like, and that's what your conversation should look like.
This is like, big time advice for creators watching this, and basketball players and hoopers that, want to break out like Bionic Brooks. Just a word of advice, y'all. It's a
No,
journey. It's a
seriously, it
journey.
is. And the biggest thing though, too, honestly, like, being online is cool and having this following and everything, but like, if anybody is listening to what I've actually done throughout the course of this journey, I've actually done things in real life. And like, that's a big thing that people forget.
Yeah.
Like, you have to be out in real life doing things that's going to translate to your social media presence and who you are. And I think that we've gotten to the point where social media is becoming a little bit better of a reflection of like what you're actually doing and the fruits of your labor, and the
Mhm.
work you're putting in, and the PR and the press that maybe you have around you, and some of the things, the cool things that you're doing not only on TV or on media or on, social media, but also in real life in the community as well.
Shout out BBTV NBA Playmakers for making this happen. I mean, last few, segments here with Bionic Brooks. I gotta ask you for sure, the value of a creator network like BBTV and NBA Playmakers. Like, how has that, that relationship, and ultimately, how have we been there for you and supported your journey so far?
This is amazing. Like, I'm super grateful for my family over at BBTV and the NBA Playmakers, because honestly, like back in 2018, I lost an Instagram page with like 80,000 followers. I lost my account, and it was an uphill journey for me too, and I had to build that back up from scratch. And at that point in time, I'm doing a lot of collaborations. I'm behind the scenes with a lot of different people, and my content started to pick back up, and my social media picked back up, and that's when BBTV found me, and I wanted to be a part of their creator network, and they brought me on as an NBA playmaker to put me in even more rooms as a creator as I'm continuing to make content and growing my following again from ground up. And they believed in me when I feel like it could have been easy for someone not to believe in me, but I feel like they understood my value as a person, as a creator, and knew my trajectory, and know that like I'm a creator that was here to stay and that mean business. And it meant a lot. They've opened up so many different doors with partnerships and been able to add more value to what I've been able to do on YouTube with my long form content, being able to integrate NBA footage into my stuff. And a lot of creators can't do that. I can legally add NBA footage into my content. That's amazing. Like, love Ball is Life, but Ball is Life can't even do that. Like, I can do that because of my people over at BBTV and NBA Playmakers. Like, I'm blessed. Like, that's amazing. So like that's huge, and I think that that's something that a lot of creators don't take advantage of it and need to take more advantage of. But hey, more room for me to be able to create great content for my audience and help people understand how different moves are pulled off in the game and different kicks on court and stuff like that. Yeah. Y'all able to see me wear it. Y'all able to see y'all favorite NBA player wear it. But no, BBTV, they mean a lot to me. Like, that's family for sure.
Shout out to the BBTV fam, NBA Playmakers, NBA. Man, it's opportunities like this to get to speak to you. Hopefully we'll do this more often and stuff. We got a few more segments still, but I just got to say we love you, Bionic. It's been an awesome opportunity getting to work with you, and hopefully continuing to build a great working relationship with you. And you and I, I'm sure, are gonna chop it up a lot more and stuff. Shout out to the NBA as well. We'd be remiss to not talk about the NBA season so far. How are you feeling about the NBA season if you've been following it closely and what's going on?
Yeah, I've been following it closely, and I believe that this year I've been following it closer than ever, just because, they threw the in-season tournament in there. They gave fans something to watch, something exciting in the middle of the season. It's been great to see, some of the surprising teams in the NBA, like the Timberwolves, make their way to the top of the standings. It's been great to see the LA Clippers finally figure it out with James Harden on their team and go on a crazy winning streak. The Dubs are starting to, find some synergy. Stephen Curry hit an amazing shot last night.
John Morant.
Yeah, John Morant as well. First game back, being able to drop 34 points and be able to give me the ball at the end of the game, make a layup. His teammates believe in him. And, again, I said, like, the BBTV family, like, when your team believes in you and gives you that confidence and that extra push, like, you're unstoppable. And John Morant looked unstoppable. Victor Wembanyama, seeing him play in his first season in the NBA has been amazing. Seeing his transition from power forward to center, I was really excited about that. He's getting more rebounds. He's around the rim a little bit more. LeBron James, what he's been able to do in this year, his career is amazing.
Year 21.
Year 21, first ever in-season tournament cup winner ever. And you know what I mean? Like, this is insane, at that age, and to be the finals or to be the in-season tournament MVP as well. The Indiana Pacers have been a surprise this season to make it that far into the in-season tournament. The offense, leading the league in one of the top offenses. I got an opportunity to talk with some of the Indiana Pacers players, sideline interview while I was in the in-season tournament. It's great to see that young team, their core, be able to make an impact and put teams on notice. I also got to interview Tyrese Halliburton's father. He's
That's
a
cool.
character. He's so funny. But like the NBA season has been great. It's been very competitive, and you really don't know what's next or what's going to happen. There's so many different incentives in the NBA nowadays with the in-season tournament, the play-in games, to make the finals. Like every team has an opportunity to make a deep run, and you don't know who's going to figure it out at the right time. But we still got the guys and the dogs at the top of the league with the Jokers or the Jokic and the Denver Nuggets, and that team is stacked, top to bottom. Can't forget about them, defending champs, Giannis and the Bucks. Like I just love basketball right now. There's so much good basketball being played in the NBA. Like every night is must-see TV. And then we got NBA on Christmas Day coming soon too.
I know we got that. We can. Those are some good matchups too. I'm really excited about that. I mean, it's so crazy just watching basketball evolve over the last couple of years and just seeing. I mean, number one, basketball evolved, but LeBron James is still playing the way that he's doing. I mean, we can have these high IQ conversations all day. But, as a guy, you talked about it, the access to things nowadays, right? Being able to improve your game. Like we're seeing bigs, 7-footers come in with the ability to handle the ball, the ability to play make, a lot of these guys, they call them hubs where you throw it to them in the high post and they're basically the center of your offense. I mean, seeing the game evolve and you being on the court playing with some high-level athletes, high-level players, in different communities and different places around the world, how have you seen the same, the game evolve and how players are playing? And, obviously the NBA influences a lot of that too, right?
Yes, the NBA influences a lot of what we see in basketball culture and like out at these parks. And I've seen that evolve, over the course of my years playing the game. Like it's a lot more isolation ball. I'll tell you that. It's a lot more isolation ball. I feel like everybody's shifty nowadays, you know what I mean? Like, and it's great to see, players evolve as they get older. Like LeBron James, for example, I feel like Bronny and Bryce kept him young. Like he had to teach them how to be successful in this day and age in this game, which also forced him to work on his game in those same areas. You know what I mean? So I think that was super important for LeBron's legacy and his career, being a father and, helping his young boys learn the game and how to be successful in the future. And his IQ for the game is, one of the best ever. So, I think that he was, forward thinking in that. And that's why he's great. Like LeBron is great because of his mind and his longevity and how he thinks and approaches the game. And that's kind of how I see myself in the influencer lane. Like, you know what I mean? Like how I approach it is unmatched, how it's different. But like, you know what I mean? Like when we get into the GOAT debate, you know what I mean? It's a different conversation for different reasons. And it ultimately boils down to my perspective on basketball as winning and championships and stuff like that. So like that's what it boils down to, getting the MVP and the defensive player in the year in the same season. Like that's like the pinnacle of a basketball player.
Mike, man.
Yeah, so it's like it's certain little intricacies that it comes down to when we get into that debate, and that's a conversation for another time. But when you talk about like one of the great basketball minds and longevity and being in so many different finals and stuff like that, like there's a lot to be said about that. And like that's what I hope to be in the influencer game, and that's what trajectory I'm on. And it's great to see like the game changing, influencer basketball and basketball in the NBA and in college and stuff like that. And how basketball is seen on social media. I've seen it grow so much, and I feel like a lot more people know the ins and outs of the game now, and everybody wants to be an IG ref. But sometimes it's better to just enjoy the game and play it and have fun.
100%. It's been great, having this conversation with you. We could chop it up, all day, every day. But before we end off, I do have some fun questions, some kind of like, some quick fire ones for you. Okay. So, try to answer these as quick as you can, but we can also chop it up too. So, all right. So question 1, if you weren't a creator or, a basketball player, what would you be doing now?
If I wasn't a creator or a basketball player, it's tough because I would still have to work in sports. So like anything sports related, like marketing in sports analyzing, commentating, hosting, anything of that nature, journalism. I think I would definitely would love to be around the game, talk to sport, advertise cool products, and make cool videos still. But me not being a player or being an influencer myself, I think I will still find a way to be creative, whether it's making, ads or billboards or, being able to talk basketball to the audience, whether it's on TV or writing.
So if you're working in sports, then, what league are you working in? And if you're working in a league, you got to pick a team.
Okay.
All right, there you go.
So if I'm working in sports, it's a no-brainer. I'm working in the NBA. There's no question. It'd be tough for me to pick a team, but I would probably have to pick one of the more prestigious organizations. Honestly, one of my life goals would be to turn the Knicks organization around. So I'll probably pick the New York Knicks, one of the highest valued organizations that hasn't seen a lot of success. So I would love to be in that organization to help them make their way to NBA finals or win a championship or something. I would lose my mind if that happens in my lifetime.
Madison Square Garden, NBA championship one day in New York, man.
That would be insane. So Definitely will probably work for the Knicks. I mean, as a caveat, or the Lakers, but either cool. I gotta think about the weather.
Right.
I want to be in New York all year round, low key.
Yeah, the East Coast winter, man. That's something else, man. I don't know. You want to be out there. Top 3 cities in terms of toughest hoopers. Around the world. Like you went into the city and you just went, yo, these guys are tough.
Okay.
That's a tough. I know that's a hard question.
That's a good one. That's gonna take a second. But I've been to some really good areas and hooped in a lot of different places, and I feel like LA is a melting pot of just so many different hoopers. There's so much basketball talent everywhere, top to bottom. I think that's why the Drew League is as big as it is. It's so much professional basketball talent. It's so much college basketball talent. Some guys that maybe fall in the middle ground, maybe didn't get those opportunities, but still play at that same level. There's a lot of basketball talent in LA, New York, the East Coast. New York is another hot spot. The third city is a toss-up. It's tough for me. I've been through a lot of places. I've been to Arizona. I would say Arizona, Phoenix, Arizona. They got some good hoopers out there. San Antonio, Texas, Austin, Texas, around Texas. Texas has some really good hoopers. But I would have to probably go with my hometown where I grew up, Grand Rapids, Michigan. I don't feel like they get enough love out in Grand Rapids. I feel like we got some hoopers out in Grand Rapids. And so I would have to go as Grand Rapids, Michigan, the third toughest spot, because that's where I came up. There's been some hoopers over there. Saginaw, Michigan is where I was born. There's some hoopers in Michigan. I feel like Michigan don't get a lot of love. But yeah, D-Book, he went to high school in Grand Rapids. So it's there's some hoopers that come out there. We got a G League team out there now. So they're direct funneling to the different nuggets. So, I mean, there's a reason. There's a reason why those moves are being had. There's some hoopers over there in the Midwest and Michigan, though, for sure.
Man, maybe we'll see Bionic Brooks on the Nuggets if he goes through that funnel or something.
Come on, man. You never know. Stay tuned for my NBA G arc, man.
Yeah, we got to get you up to Canada, man. We got to get you out here with the Hoopers in Vancouver and Toronto and stuff.
Yeah, that's one play. I haven't hooped with anybody in Vancouver. I haven't hooped with anybody in Vancouver, but Toronto, yeah, there's some hoopers out there in Toronto. Yeah, there's some hoopers out there. Yeah,
they got some guys out there. We got some other we got some fire ones here for you.
Okay,
four creators that you're picking on your team to play pickup right now.
It's tough because do we count Frank Nitti as a creator? Because Frank Nitti is a creator.
You got to. I think you got to.
Okay, all right. So that's my first pick off the board, no question. Frank Nitti. He's a true winner. He gonna do everything on the basketball court. He can run the point guard. He can run the shooting guard. He can run the center if you want him to. Frank Nitti will do whatever the team needs to be successful. He gonna block shots. He gonna rebound. That's my number one pick across the board. Next person I'm probably taking off the board is D Friga. I'm probably gonna get Friga. Friga, good creator.
Game time.
I like what he's able to do on the court. He reminds me of like a tough. He's a tough scorer. Like he reminds me of like a creator like Carmelo Anthony. You know what I mean? Somebody who can get in the high post, score. He's really tough. Got good footwork. Yeah, I like Friga. Who else am I taking? I need a crazy facilitator. I like T Jazz. I like T Jazz. I played with T Jazz a few times, and I definitely think he can contribute on a good team. I like the way he plays. It's tough though. Like it's so many good creators in the space. Goodness, wow.
Tough, right?
Put me on the spot, and it's hard because it's.
You're gonna go back to them. They're gonna be like, Bionic, why don't you choose me?
I know. Is it? Are we like looking to win something, or is it just people I want to play with? Because that's two different. That's different teams.
True. All right, fine.
Let's do the two different teams. We're looking to win something. I'm gonna go balls like West Coast squad. You know. What I mean?
Okay.
I'm gonna get my guys. Like I'm gonna go with my guys, and we're gonna go win something. But it's like if it's like creators that like I like, and you know what I mean, like. I feel like I like how they play. I feel like they got a good game, and we're not thinking about we're playing positionless basketball. And the person who will be that last spot will be Marcellus Howard.
Oh yeah,
Marcellus Howard is like probably he goes down as like one of the toughest creator hoopers in my eyes. Like I played with him before, I played against him before, and every time he steps into these creator spaces and is hooping, he's unstoppable. Like he's definitely like one of the top players in the space.
Man, his game is just so cool.
It's
just so cool. Like just calm and collected. But we also got to give a description on Bionic, man. Come on, give it to us, Tarai.
I'm gonna definitely say that I'm an all around player. I'm like a point forward. I can go back to the basket, high post, knock down 3-point shots. I can guard your best player. I can guard your point guard. I can guard your center. You know what I mean? I can fit anywhere on the basketball court. You know, I'm going to give my guys the ball in their spots for them to be successful. I'm going to be smart on the court, make the right play, make the right passes, make the right screens. You know what I mean? I'm an all-around player. I'm going to fill up the stat sheet. I'm going to get blocks, steals, rebounds, points. You know what I mean? Like, I do a little bit of everything. So, I'm the type of guy that people love to have on their basketball team no matter what type of scenario or situation we're in because I'm going to make a difference.
So basically what Tarai is saying is he's going to block your shot, grab it off the board, take it up himself, cross you up at the top of the key, and then pull it back for a tomahawk, yam it on you, and then walk back and lock up your best player. So that's what he's going to do. That's what he's going to do. All right, we got to give it to Tarai. All right, last few questions. Top 5 favorite NBA players all time.
Top 5 NBA players all time. MJ, Allen Iverson. In no specific order. MJ, Allen Iverson, Kobe, Bron, Steph.
That's a crazy 5 right there.
That's my 5 for sure. Yeah, top 5 for sure. But you know what I mean? Like I'm a huge Kawhi Leonard fan as well. Like huge Kawhi Leonard fan. I feel like my game is like Kawhi Leonard's.
I was gonna say,
like that's why I love watching him. You know, I feel like I'm like the claw on the floor. I'm gonna do a little bit of everything. I'm a huge fan of him, and the way he's been playing this year, I love it. But yeah, I want to see him be on the floor a little bit more and get a couple more chips. You know what I mean? Like, so I'm happy what I'm seeing with the Clippers this year.
Shout out Kawhi because my favorite team was the Toronto Raptors. So
that's what's up.
The guy gave me a championship. It's tough times right now.
Opportunity to interview Draymond Green and Kawhi Leonard, so stay tuned for that video. I'm actually going to drop that video real soon. I got an opportunity to sit down and interview both of those guys, and like that was a great experience too. Like I'm a huge fan of both of those guys for personal reasons, not just like basketball, just basketball related. Like the guys that I listed on my top 5 are just like basketball reasons. these are like more personal. I like Kawhi Leonard because, like I said, I see a lot of similarities. And then Draymond Green, I'm from Saginaw, Michigan. He's from Saginaw, Michigan. He made it out. He plays with a lot of tenacity that a lot of people don't understand. That's how it is growing up where we're from. It's tough. And yeah, you have to do a lot of personal work to understand that, like, yo, we're not in those environments anymore. And, like, hopefully Draymond Green, gets the help he needs. Big shout out to Draymond, though. Everything he's been able to do in his career.
Say what you want about Draymond. The dude got it out the mud as a second round pick, and look at him now.
He's a winner.
Yeah, he's a winner.
He's a winner. Like, he's doing all that because he wants to win that bad. And I'm sorry. Like, he just wants to win. He has his guys back. Again, he could do it in a better way, but huge Draymond Green fan. Michigan State, he was a winner. High school, he was a winner. Like, Saginaw High, he took them to the state championship and won it. And then, like, with the Dubs, he's a big piece of what they do. So, like, the Draymond Green slander is not tolerated in my house. But, like, I definitely think that, as individuals and as people, we can always handle situations better.
For sure. Oh, shout out Draymond. Shout out Draymond, man.
Yeah.
Who's winning the NBA championship this year? Ooh.
Yo, the NBA champions this season. Oh my goodness. If they're healthy, I'm going with the Clippers. If they
straight,
if
they got 8 straight right now.
What's up?
They got 8 straight games winning streak right now.
If they stay healthy, if we're not talking injuries, we're not talking load management. Paul George is healthy. Kawhi Leonard is healthy. Miles Plumlee, Mason Plumlee. Mason Plumlee is healthy. That's a big. They're missing Mason Plumlee right now. Like, that's a big part of their team and their front court depth. You know what I mean? Zubac healthy. Harden. They got a team. They have a real team, and they got a great coach. Like,
T-Lou.
Come on now. Russell, don't sleep on Russ. The Russell Westbrook slander is not tolerated in my house either. Russell Westbrook is another one of those guys that does whatever the team needs to win. If it's coming off the bench, if it's grabbing rebounds, if it's playing defense, Russ will do that. You saw him against KD last year in the playoffs. He was guarding Kevin Durant.
Yeah, man.
Like, come on, bro. Like, I got the clips though. I got the clips.
Yeah, I was saying to a couple of buddies the other day. I was like, the depth is crazy. I haven't said they were writing them off. I said, Clippers are too good to be this bad.
Yes, and if they give my guy Xavier Moon that call up too, they got a killer. He made so many big shots for us down the stretch in our Drew League championship. This guy's a professional bucket. Like, he has done it for the G League Clippers. And yeah, definitely, I'm a big Clippers man. Shout out to the Clippers, man.
Shout out to the Clippers. Tarai, top 3 favorite basketball shoes ever.
Top 3 basketball shoes ever. I'm a Jordan Retro guy. Jordan 11, Jordan Retro 11. Huge fan of those. Recently, this past year, been really hooping in the Zions a lot. I really like the Zion 2s. The Zion 2s were really good hoop shoe, comfortable, durable. And then the Kyries. Kyrie 6s. I like the Kyrie 6s.
I got 4 pairs of Kyries myself, man. They're just such a reliable shoe.
Yeah,
shout out Kyrie Irving.
Yeah, shout out Kyrie, but like I don't know if I should say that because they're not technically the Kyries anymore. But
yeah, that's right. Oh yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, but I don't know. I haven't tried out his new ones, but like those are tough hoop shoes. But yeah, I like all of those hoop shoes.
Last question: if you had one meal, the last meal of your life, what is it?
Final meal. My final meal. It's got to be a nice steak. A nice cut of a steak. It could be any steak. It could be ribeye, porterhouse. It could be New York strip, Wagyu, anything. A nice steak. Yeah. Some homemade macaroni and cheese, some greens, some cornbread, and what am I missing? I feel like I gotta have something else. I throw some mashed potatoes in there. Some type of like potato. I gotta have some type of potato, whether it's a sweet potato fry or baked sweet potato, mashed sweet potato, or anything, potato, a complex carb up in there. That would be my final meal for sure.
Got me hungry now. After this, we probably
Oh
gonna
my
eat after
goodness.
this.
I need it. I need it right now too. That sounds so delicious.
Our stomachs are grumbling right now. Man, what a great conversation with Terai Bionic Brooks. I mean, appreciate the time. Tell the people what you got coming up, if you got anything to promote or what's going on in the crazy world.
Stay tuned for a lot of my content coming out here soon. We're going to be dropping the NBA in-season tournament vlogs, all the experience, the interviews, behind the scenes. But make sure y'all stay on the lookout for the Bionic Battleground Season 1 will be premiering. And we have a lot of fun content, a lot of great brands on board. We have Dick's Sporting Goods, Google Pixel, just to name a few. We have some amazing venues, Mr. T's Restaurant in LA. Thank you so much for everybody who was a part of this, Pure Recovery. But yeah, like this content is going to be next level. I think it's going to change how we look at content moving forward. As basketball creators, as people who have dominated the takeover space for a while, I got some fresh faces, some cool friends, and I have some familiar faces that may be from reality TV shows, some celebrities that might be appearing. So make sure y'all stay on the lookout for that because it's going to be exciting. And then, yeah, you guys know where to find me at Bionic Brooks on all channels, platforms, Threads. Make sure y'all follow me there. That's a big one. Meta, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. YouTube Shorts have been going crazy right now. Make sure y'all subscribe. Just everywhere. Make sure y'all. Just drop me a message. If y'all see me out in the streets, make sure y'all say what up.
We'll be looking forward to it. Terai, appreciate you joining. Shout out once again, BBTV and NBA Playmakers for, helping this happen and making this happen and having this amazing conversation with one of the best. Appreciate it. This is the Hoops and Creators Podcast. I'm Jared Gallon. Thanks, everybody, for listening.
Appreciate you having me.